What's up guys, welcome to Wasted Space, and I guess this is a bit of a tester video, but I figured it was about time I talked about something that I've mentioned previously, it's in my channel header and stuff, and then really hadn't done anything with, which is airsofting. Now, I know airsofting is actually a bit of a YouTuber cliche, apparently. There's a lot of YouTubers out there that do airsofting, enjoy airsofting, which is fine obviously, and it meant that I didn't want to do just some random content on it. I didn't want to just throw out, I don't know, a game preview or something like that, without firstly introducing the concept of airsoft on the channel, talking a bit about what it is and why I enjoy it, and also giving you a bit of an introduction as to why I think at least some of my content would be a bit different to what else you find out there on YouTube. And let's be clear, I'm not talking about airsoft becoming a huge part of the channel or anything like that. It's just nice every now and then to talk to you guys a bit about stuff I really enjoy, aside from just the gaming things. Now, I've actually been recording airsoft footage for quite a while. All the content in this background video here is taken from a game played in April last year. And because of that, the quality of some of the footage is not as good as it could be. I've kind of learning as I went, and I really didn't want to use this footage that much, to be honest, but it seems an appropriate place to start, because one of the things I will be talking about a bit is what I'm doing to record some of this footage, and some of the things that I've made in order to help me do so. But that's getting way ahead of myself. The first place I should start, just to make sure that everyone's on the same page, is talking a bit about what actually airsofting is, and also a bit about how it differs to paintball. And I'm not someone that's about to come out and start going on about how good paintballing is, or how good airsofting is, and how crap the other one is. Not interested in that sort of stuff, not bothered in the slightest. It's just important to understand that there are some differences, and some of those differences do kind of define why I enjoy airsofting in particular. So hopefully most of you are familiar with paintballing. You have a gas canister, you have a hopper full of paintballs, and you basically have a tube with which the paintball goes down, and you pull the trigger, gas comes out behind the ball, boom, off it goes, and it hits a target, and when it hits the target, the idea is it's supposed to pop and put paint all over them. Doesn't always, but that's the gist behind it. And because of this, it's quite difficult to cheat in paintballing. Not impossible, but in comparison to airsofting, quite difficult. The difference with airsofting is, instead of having a big gas canister and a hopper full of paintballs and so on, you have something that initially looks a lot more realistic, and because of that have quite a lot more licensing laws around them. But at the same time fire very small plastic BBs, so ball bearings. And of course this has two knock-on effects. The first one is that the range available in airsofting versus the range available in paintballing is much greater. Admittedly, it's not sort of real gun-like in any way, shape or form. You're shooting maybe 80 meters, something like that, with a good, well done in weapon. But it comes with a bit of a cost, and that is that you can't intrinsically see whether or not someone's been hit. There isn't a big mark on them left by the paint or anything like that, and so the entire game is focused around trust. If you get hit, you're expected to recognise that you've been hit, either feel it or hear it, and put your hand up and say you've been hit, and that's how you know when someone's been killed. And then some sites will operate on a respawn basis, so from that point you just go back to your respawn point, be it at a specific location, or for some of the offensive, rolling offensive games, they tend to be things like go back 30 meters and start again from there. Or, if you're playing a medic rule, which some sites do, and I don't personally like so much because it's quite easy to abuse, then you can sit there and wait for a medic to come and revive you. And in this game footage you're seeing in the background, the medic rule is in place. So what's happening is you'll see at times people getting hit, and then someone will run up and grab hold of them, and they have to count to 10, and this is one of the ways it can be abused. You're supposed to count to 10 slowly, but you don't necessarily have to. They're supposed to stay still while you do so, but they don't necessarily have to. And then you come back in at the end of that, and often there's a multiple life sort of scenario. So the trust thing really kind of separates airsoft from paintballing. But there's another pretty big one that I like quite a lot as well, which is literally just the appearance of the gear you're using. So, okay, I'm not pretending this is some military simulation or anything like that. I'm not playing Army here. But at the same time, it's why we enjoy games like Call of Duty. It's why we enjoy Counter-Strike. It's, you know, getting your mindset into that sort of environment and having some fun with it. So yes, it is pretty cool that the gear you're wearing looks realistic. It looks authentic. The weapons you're using look realistic and look authentic. And so you can have a bit more fun with it in that respect, and it certainly makes the footage in environments like this look a lot more impressive as well. So I guess it's important I talk about this environment here, because that's one of the main reasons why I'm enjoying airsofting so much at the moment. The sites I play on are all arranged under one banner, and they run this event called Hittakers, which is an invite-only setup designed to be somewhere where you can expect trust. You can expect players to play at a slightly higher level than you get in just a public game where anyone can turn up. And so down at the sites, there are people watching and inviting people along that you know are going to take their hits when they've been hit and so on. And people are going to play it seriously, but also fun. Not get too tied up and too anal about all these little details when the grand scheme of things is you're out to have fun, and for the most part, you're also out to get hurt. You know, you got to understand, people are shooting at you. They might not be shooting at you with real weapons, but the things coming out of them are heavy enough that they do sting when they hit you. But the main gist of this Hittakers event, and the thing that makes it really cool, aside from obviously the trust, meaning that generally you get better gameplay than you would do on a Sunday day randomly, is that we do it in 2 permanent teams, a green team and a tan team. And this, again, sounds a bit milsim, ooh, you're playing army there, aren't you? Not really. The normal way you differentiate between people in airsofting games and in paintballing games as well is with an armband. You have this little coloured armband that you put on, something along those lines, or a tag. And they're small, and they're kind of useless. And it leads to these environments where you come up behind someone and you don't know what team they're on, because you can't see. Their left arm, where people tend to wear them, is round the corner, maybe. Something like that. And it just feels really inauthentic and kind of spoils the whole feel when you're there going, not sure what team you're on, so I'm just going to hold back. Introduce the idea of green camouflage, tan camouflage, you get rid of most of that. It adds to the authenticity of things, makes things feel generally more realistic. But at the same time, it means that if you can't see the team that you're shooting at, you don't know what colour they are, it's because their camouflage is working, not because you just happen to not be able to see that armband they're wearing. And these teams are relatively permanent. People do move between them occasionally, but it means that there's a nice rivalry that's been built up there over the years where people really want to win. But at the same time, we know each other well enough that it's not taken overly seriously. There's a load of joking around, a load of laughs as well. And the second part of all of this, and why I love it, is the environments we're playing in here. So this is actually a place called Longmoor, which is an army training base. And the way it works in the UK is the MOD actually owns the base, which is part of our government, and then the army has full access to it. But because of that, and the fact that it's owned by the government, it's owned by public, they are allowed to be rented out to trusted groups of airsofters, trusted groups of paintballers. And so we get to play in some awesome places. So right here you've got probably about 35, 40 buildings, terraced. It's basically a full fake town. It's missing the furniture, but it's got doors, windows, cellars, underground tunnels, you name it. And in some areas of this also, some of the buildings have been fortified to kind of represent this perhaps being an environment where there is actually a war going on. And it's a damn cool place to play. I mean, you just got to look at what's going on in the background here, and it beats the hell out of just running around in a wood with some fake barricades putting up. It's also not the only one of the sites like this that we play on, and potentially not even the best one. There's one I think I prefer a bit more, but that's one I haven't been able to capture any footage from yet. So unfortunately we're sticking with Longmoor to begin with at least. And unfortunately, as you guys might be noticing in the background here, I play on the green team alongside, there's about 6 of my friends that are in a sort of team within a team sort of thing. We practice together a fair bit, we always play together, meet up before games, stuff like that. And the green team is very much the underdog at the moment. So the tan team are very well organised, they've been playing together for a long time, and I think up until about halfway through last year, the green team hadn't actually won a game in about 3 years. Now, I'd like to claim that my team has had part of that, because we have only joined these games in the last year or so. And maybe we have, but God knows. We like to try and play well together, and it does perhaps rub off onto some of the other people around, because again, this is a fun event. It's not a big milsim, so people are there to have fun, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're there to play hyper-tactically at the same time. So, yeah, we are on the losing side for the most part, and in this particular video, we are getting pretty well owned. To be honest, you can see the tan teams are organised, we're doing our best. You can also see what I was talking about with the tactical thing is trying to get people to actually push themselves forward, not just get into this position where you're like, oh, this is a nice bit of cover, I'm just going to sit here and wait for someone to come. Because that doesn't really go anywhere. So it's that idea of trying to push people, but unfortunately in this day we got our asses kicked big style, both on the offensive and on the defensive game. So we're starting off with a big lose, but there you go, at least you get an idea of kind of the environment, but also kind of this idea of serious but also fun. So you'll hopefully notice in this footage there are occasions where people are stopping to congratulate the other team on a good shot or congratulate the other team on a good move and things like that, which does make this whole environment just that much more fun. It's not really hyper anal about anything. People are taking it relatively easy with just enough seriousness that these sort of big events really tie together. Now, airsofting in general also is kind of fun from the perspective that, it's the running, jumping, climbing trees, charging around, loads of adrenaline. Especially, there is an adrenaline factor to it, even if it doesn't hurt that much. The idea of pushing yourself into an environment where you know it's going to sting, and you know that you don't know where anything is, you don't know what's going to happen next, does bring this definite bit of adrenaline to it. And then there's, for me especially, the techie side of things. So you guys probably guessed this, knowing me a bit now. I love teching on stuff, I love working on stuff. There's always a desk somewhere in my house that's got projects all over it in some horrible mess. I'm not one of these guys that keeps my workshop really super clean. No, it's always got 2 or 3 projects on the go at once in it on top of each other for the most part. But I love that side of things, especially with airsofting, because you get such tangible rewards out of it. Mostly because, I must admit, most of the airsoft guns you buy off the shelf are rubbish. They are really bad. Quality control in airsofting is not something that's that big a thing at the moment for some reason. There's a lot of companies just churning out pretty rubbishy equipment that when you get it, the first thing you need to do is do a whole load of work to it to make it perform correctly. But because of that, it's really rewarding, and there's definitely the sort of element of I teched my gun well enough that I now have an advantage. And that's not by cheating or making it over high FPS or anything like that. That's about making sure that it's firing consistently, accurately, your scopes are in, things like that. So hopefully that's given you a bit of an introduction as to what airsofting is, why I enjoy it, and kind of why I'd like to make some content on the channel, because I think you guys would also enjoy it. I think there's some really cool places that we go to, and some kind of cool things that we get up to. But I'm going to leave that down to you guys, really. What sort of content would you like to see on airsofting? Or would you not like to see any airsofting content at all? Obviously, I'm not about to change the channel, as I mentioned, but there's these elements of, I've got plenty of different games that I've recorded that I could do commentary to. I could talk about the tech side of things. I could talk about the sites that we go to. I could even do a bit about how to get into airsofting if it's something that you're interested in, because, again, the tech side of things and researching is something that I love doing. So from that perspective, I'd kind of enjoy that too. Let me know, guys. Hit me up down in the comments. What do you want to see on the airsoft side of things? Did you enjoy this video? If you did, hit like, hit subscribe as always. Really helps me in the channel out. If you didn't like that video, I'm sure you know where the dislike button is, but please go down into the comments as well and help me out. Let me know how I can improve a bit too. So cheers, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I will catch you next time.